Hello and welcome back to another video. So today we are back at the Slurry, and more specifically again we are back agitating. So we took the agitator off the International because, well, one, we tried agitating it and it just wasn't able. Two, we collected the heifers from the field. We're going swapping them from one field to another, but first we want to dose them and stuff, so give them stuff for like worms and fluke and all that. So that's why they're in here at the moment, because we have to dose them first, and then we'll be loading them into the cattle trailer and bringing them to their new grazing paddock. And then the rain actually has that quite full. There's a lot of water gone in there, as you can see. That is very full. But we have the pipes removed from that side, and we have the pipes obviously removed from this side because the cattle are in there. So there's no water going into the tank from the eave gutters anymore, because it's been raining for nearly 2 or 3 days non-stop. So and as you can see anyways, it has filled up with water quite a lot, and it's literally just underneath the slats. So when we put the agitator in there, it's going to rise up a small bit, which isn't ideal, but we'll just have to clean up whatever mess gets made. And once again, if you watched my last agitating video when we were agitating with the International, this isn't our kit. The 6280 or the agitator isn't our kit. This is our ex-contractor's kit, and obviously, as I mentioned before, the brother works from. So it's handy because we get to borrow some of his equipment, and even if he wants, he gets to borrow some of our equipment, or he can come if something is broke and we can weld it for him. So because the old man is a welder, so you know, he has his own welding business and all that. So if anything breaks and it needs welding, the brother can weld as well, and I can weld, but the old man obviously has that little bit extra more experience than we do. Yeah, so the tractor and the agitator is our ex-contractor's equipment the brother works from, as I mentioned plenty of times before. This is the big boy agitator, and we will get Slurry mixed in no time with this. The plan is to mix this tank and mix that one over there. Hopefully the heifers won't be in there more agitating because it's just not safe, but they should be dosed and gone over the field by the time we're agitating, which will be later this evening. The old man and the brother are gone doing something for an hour or two. When they come back, they'll be getting dosed, and they'll be heading out into fresher pastures. This tank isn't as full as the other one over there. That's why the heifers are in that side, because that can hold a bit more, but not for too long. And obviously, yeah, that one is quite full. Now, one thing we need to keep an eye on when we're agitating with this is that this tends to overheat. Very similar to our International, but the only difference is the temperature gauge in our International is not working. It's an electrical problem that needs to be fixed. The temperature gauge in this does work, so we'll just have to keep a very close eye on it. I think the brother found some sort of solution or hack. If you put on the heaters in it, it'll start extracting any heat from the engine into the cab itself. So you kind of don't want to be sitting inside for too long anyways. But you know, it's not hard just to climb up a couple of steps, have a quick glance at the temperature gauge. If it's all right, you go back agitating. If it's too hot, we'll have to just shut everything down and leave her to cool. Obviously the maximum would be kind of nice on the agitator because it does sound very well, but that's on the baler, because during the summer the maximum is the baling tractor, and then over the winter it's on the mixer. For when you my brain's gone dead. You put the silage in this and it mixes the silage, the feed mixer or something. I can't think of the name from the top of my head, but it might come back to me. But that's the maximum is on the baler during the summer, and then on the feed mixer during the winter to feed the cattle. While this is obviously for drawing bales in the summer, for agitating. It puts out the slurry as well. Sometimes the Maxim will put out the slurry depending on what time of the year it is. If it's past or before silage season, the Maxim will sometimes be on the slurry tanker itself. But then this is for drawing bales and stacking bales, and then for the winter you take these tubes off and then there's spikes in it, and then obviously you fill the feed mixer with this tractor because it has the front loader. Another thing to mention, because I don't know if you know, those lights there, it's on either side, those are wireless lights. Instead of plugging a wire into, where is it on this yoke? Instead of plugging a wire or a lead for the lights into this, you plug some sort of wireless thing in here, and it has an aerial sticking up, and for somehow they connect to those wireless lights, and then every time you brake, the brake lights should come on. Every time you put on the indicators should come on. I think you have to charge them as well. I'm not 100% sure, but you plug a wireless sort of receiver in there with an aerial sticking up, and they should work. But for some reason, they're not working. So if there's anyone here watching the video that knows why they're not working, what's the reason behind it, and how to get them working, I would also really appreciate it if you could leave it in the comment section down below. And they're only mainly being used is because when you have the double bale handler on the back with bales on it and you lift it up, you cannot really see these lights on it, and it's kind of sketchy on the road because then anyone behind you doesn't know if you're stopping or if you're turning in somewhere. So that's why we have the wireless ones up high, so when you have the double bale handler on the back and bales on it and it's lifted up and they're being blocked by the bales, you can still see the ones up at the top there, but they're not working. So again, if anyone knows how to get them working and how to fix this problem, please do let me know down in the comments down below. Also, because it's raining, I'm getting wet, the camera is getting wet. Also, this is leaking slightly. We did have it parked in the slatted shed there. We brought it home, we brought it up yesterday evening, and we had it parked in the slatted house there because, if I can close the door, because it's leaking here slightly. It's not leaking on the seat or anywhere else, but you can see there's water along the inside interior decoration thingy-mabob. This is the view you have, and I don't know how to put the steering wheel down. I thought it was this lever here, but this pushes up and down the steering wheel. That way it doesn't fold it down. I don't really drive this. I don't be around the ex-contractor's farm anymore like the brother, so I have driven this tractor. I've also driven his 398 for silage, you've seen that, and I've also driven his Maxim, his International, and his 135 as well. I've driven all his tractors, but I've driven this, just moving it up, because this also does the mowing as well. So he had it parked down in the field, so I brought it up to the yard with the mower, and that's basically the only time I drove it really. I only drove the Maxim, I think it was just to move it out of the way or something or like that. So I didn't really drive that much either. The 398, I drove that for putting out slurry and for drawing the silage bales, and for drawing the silage bales with the trailer at the back. There's a video about that already on the YouTube channel. So I've driven the 398 quite a lot. The International, I drove that, I think, just to move it. I think it was in the field, and I was just bringing it up to the farmyard as well. And he has a 135 as well, and I think I only drove that to back it up out of the way or something. So yeah, I've only driven really the 398 quite a lot. The rest of them was just to move them from a field into the yard, or just to move them out of the way, because it's a small tight yard. But anyways, let's have a quick look on the inside. It's more modernized than the Maxim. That's for your front loader. That's your gears. It's your PTO. That's for your hydraulics. That's not your PTO, that's the hand throttle for the throttle there. Your PTO is this yellow yoke here. So yeah, it's for your lift or something. That's the inside of the 6280. But I believe we went a bit off track there. We were supposed to be focusing on agitating, so let's get back to that. Anyways, we'll get this tractor tuned up and we'll get the agitator stuck into the tank there, and we'll get mixing some slurry. Hopefully this time we can actually get it mixed. That's that tank agitated. The only one that needs to be agitated now is that one over there, which will be done one of the days. But we have now a couple of fields to put this on. We have our main silage field, and we have grazing fields that half of them got passed over graze, and we have silage brought off of them now, so the slurry can be put out onto a couple of the fields. There was a big difference though between our International 674 and our agitator compared to the 6280 agitating, because after 2 hours of our own equipment, after 2 hours of agitating with our own equipment, I think we got somewhere to here, which obviously is not a lot. It's that big, that's one slat there, so we probably got to 1.5 slats after 2 hours, and there was plenty of water in it as well. There was not shy of water because we had pipes going in from the eave gutters with rainwater coming in, and we had a big long pipe going this way as well into this one tank, so it wasn't shy of any water. But our tractor and our equipment just wasn't able. And agitating anyways is very tough on any tractor, no matter how big or small, how old or new. Agitating is just a really hard job. Yeah, but anyways, 2 hours of our equipment agitating got us that far. 2 hours with the 6280 agitating got us all the way to the back wall there and got this whole tank mixed, a 2-bay slatted house tank mixed. And even the 6280 struggles as well, because we had to keep an eye on the temperature gauge on it, because that's also well known for overheating when agitating. But we kept a very close eye on it. We kept going up and down the tractor just to make sure that the temperature gauge was not in the red. And if it did go into the red, we'd have to just shut off the tractor and let it cool down for about 10 minutes or so, and then start it up again. But the 6280 did not overheat. Our tractor overheated twice, so we had to shut everything down and let it cool down for those 2 times that it overheated. So the slurry situation, once that tank gets mixed, this one is already mixed so it can be spread. We could use our slurry tanker, but our slurry tanker goes on the back of our International, and it's only an 800 gallon tank for a 2-bay slatted house slurry pit that's about 6 foot deep. So you'll be nearly 2 full days at it there. Our ex-contractor, the one that has the 6280 and the Agitator, has a bigger slurry tanker. He has an 1100 tanker, so he'll be putting slurry out with that. And the brother will get another tanker off someone else as well. And this farmer would be a neighbour to our ex-contractor, so the brother knows him very well, and he'll be getting his tanker off him. And I think it's bigger than an 1100. I think it's an 1800 to maybe 2000 gallon slurry tanker. So yes, it's a big boy slurry tanker compared to our one, or even compared to the 1100 gallon one. So I don't think we'll be a day at Slurry with an 1100 gallon slurry tanker and an 1800 to 2000 gallon slurry tanker going over and back spreading slurry at the same time on the same day, you know. See, one of them could be at this pit and the other one could be at the far pit, or if we had a good system going where we have a tractor sucking on the farm while the other one is spreading, and then once this one is full, the slurry tanker on the farm is full and the slurry tanker over in the field is empty, that they might be meeting halfway on the road, and then you know what I mean. A system that there's always one tractor filling on the farm, at the same time there's one tractor in the field spreading, and that the two of them then will be meeting halfway on the road, going over and back, you know. So our slurry is nearly finished. We just need to get that one mixed, put them out, and then we can power wash the slats. We can power wash the slats there and the walls, power wash the slats here and the walls, power wash the passageway, power wash out there. I think I've mentioned this several times on several different occasions, but you know, before the cattle come in during the winter, the whole shed will be cleaned out and ready for them to come in. And we also might have to check the slats. Once we get the slurry out of it, we'll get a ladder, climb down into it from the outside and just check the bottoms of the slats to make sure that they're not cracked or damaged in any way. Because I think we've done it about last year or 2 years ago, and there were signs of small cracks appearing on a couple of the slats, but not all of them. So that was obviously a year or two ago. This is the present, so we need to be checking on the slats every year just to make sure. I think slats only last about, 10 or 20 years. So they've been down, give or take, 20 years. So we need to be keeping a close eye on them, because we don't want to put the cattle in on the slats on the winter and not even have checked them, and them to be severely damaged, and then the whole lot to go down into the tank, which is not going to be, it's not going to be nice on any farmer really, and especially the cattle who will not get a very pleasant end of life. Now I'm over, that's the side that's mixed, I'm over this side now. I don't know how much water is in here, because when the cattle were in, we had the cows and stuff with the calves on this side. So obviously they would be eating more and they'd be doing their toilet business more. So this side, over the amount of time, over the times that they were in the house last year, we did have to suck a couple of tanks out because it started rising underneath the slats. So we did have to suck a couple of tanks out on multiple occasions, just to drop it down a foot or so. While they were in the shed, well, we had to put them either out there or outside out there. But they weren't actually in the shed when we were sucking the slurry out. But we did have to do that on several occasions. This side we didn't, because we had the Wainland heifers and stuff, and the dry cows that weren't in calf. So this side I don't think we had to suck anything out of it. I think that was all right throughout the housing period. But I don't think there's much water gone into this, because we had the pipe from that eave gutter and the pipe from that eave gutter all going into that tank there. We didn't pipe any water from the eave gutter into this one, so we might have to draw tanks of water into this tank here while we're agitating. We'll have to take a couple of loads out first because I think that's fairly full. Yeah, that's fairly full. So if we were going to agitate that and it needed water, we'd have to try and mix as much of it as we could, so that we could suck a couple of tanks of slurry out of it and just drop it down enough so that we could tank water into it. And that's the situation on this side. But that is going to be the end of today's video. We do have to agitate that tank over there, but I'm not going to make a video of that because there's already 2 videos on the channel of agitating, and agitating isn't really the funnest of jobs, the exciting jobs, but it's a job that has to be done, and for watching as a video it probably isn't really all that exciting. So 2 videos on the YouTube channel of agitating is plenty. So the next slurry related video you'll see on this channel, hopefully, if I'm around obviously, I could be gone somewhere, will be the slurry, putting out the slurry. So yeah, that is it for me. Please like the video if you enjoyed it. If you're not subscribed, please do subscribe and turn on the bell notification to be notified of every future video I upload. Check out my merch and check out the Gatemate. The links to them will be down in the description. And that is it for me. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Take care.